made. In the very beginning, most sets were made of animal teeth. These proved to be uncomfortable and ineffective. So that's when they started venturing into using human teeth in dentures. In the 1700s is when sugar became widely available across Europe, and sugar started to cause the teeth to decay way more rapidly. It wasn't uncommon for a peasant to remove their own tooth and sell it for a quick buck.
To stay in prison. See, Japan's elderly population is skyrocketing, and with it, a shocking trend. There has been a surge in elderly women committing crimes like shoplifting deliberately to get sent to prison because the loneliness on the outside is so severe. In fact, in the last 20 years, the number of elderly inmates has risen by almost 300%. See, because on the outside, these women often live alone with no family to visit them or financial support to rely on. One inmate interviewed said her 43-year-old son, who she was living with, once said to her, "I don't care when you die, I wish you'd just go away." But now she's behind bars, she has routine, people to speak with, meals, and even medical care. Rather than shouting at them, the guards go as far as changing their diapers, helping them bathe, eat, and even take their medication. One said it now feels more like an elderly home rather than a prison full of convicted criminals. There's some that even say they will pay 20 to 30,000 yen a month just to live there forever. And even though they eat their meals in a cell alone in silence, just knowing that others are around is enough.
I was just about to say that. That doesn't sound like a prison. That sounds like an elderly home. But the fact that they have to go to that extreme just to get there, just so they won't feel alone anymore when their families left them, that's sad, truly.
Here's some of the dumbest crimes committed by children, except each time it gets dumber. A 12-year-old kid in Rockville, Maryland has admitted to police that he sent in at least 7 bomb threats to various schools in his area. And he said that he did it because he knew that he couldn't be charged for it. Which is true, because in Maryland, children under the age of 13 can only be charged for something that falls under a crime of violence. The kid was smart enough to know the law, but dumb enough to call in a bunch of bomb threats for some reason. The kid might actually have a bright future ahead of him. At a theme park in North Carolina, a 13-year-old boy climbed inside of a claw machine to steal one of the toys and got stuck. According to reports, he spent 17 minutes inside of it until someone was able to come pull him out, after which he was banned from the park for a year for attempted theft and being a dumbass. In North Carolina, a 6-year-old boy was arrested for picking flowers from a yard while waiting at a bus stop. The crazy part is he actually had to go to court for destruction of property. The kid's attorney was quoted saying the boy's attention span was so short she had to give him a picture to color during the trial. Thankfully, the case was dismissed, but this happened because North Carolina has one of the lowest minimum ages for criminal charges, and most recently it was just raised to 8 years old. My question is, who the hell is calling the cops on a 6-year-old?
Yeah, who? And the fact that he had to go to court for picking flowers? What's wrong with people, man? This is a kid. You can't let that slide. It's not like you're doing anything destructive.
In the world right now. If the Chiefs defeat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, the Eagles' all-time record will be 666 wins and 666 losses. A judge annulled the marriage of a couple after the bride came to the court and said that she only participated in the wedding because she thought it was a social media prank. Another judge sentenced a woman for setting a home on fire with 3 other people in it using Takis tortilla chips. A bank robber was dazed and confused when his getaway bike was stolen. A Texas teenager was accused of using poison to end the life of a rival's competition show goat. A man in Cleveland was quoted saying he's tired of cars running into his house all the time after 3 have crashed in the last 10 years. A man in California was arrested after he told the officer he was the DUI instead of the DD. A woman was rescued after getting caught in an Italian cave for the 2nd time in 2 years. The EU fined the EU for breaking EU data protection law.
Fun facts you
What?
wouldn't believe are true. Godzilla is an actual citizen of Japan. Some species of jellyfish are actually immortal. The patent for a fire hydrant was destroyed in a fire. Outer space is only 62 miles away. You could drive there in an hour. If you flattened your lungs out, they would have about the same surface area as a tennis court. Saturn is the lightest planet. If there was a big enough body of water, it would float. An astronaut spacesuit runs about $12 million. The moon looks close, but you can actually fit every planet in the solar system between the Earth and the moon. In a lab here on Earth, plasma that reached a temperature of 9.9 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Over 50,000 people on Earth have alien abduction insurance policies.
Here are 3
I need to
ways
get
to
on
hack
that.
your body. Number 1, if your arms ever fall asleep, just shake your head like this and it will go away instantly. Number 2, if you ever have a stuffy nose, just hold your breath until you have to breathe again, and this will give you adrenaline, which will clear your sinuses. And number 3, if you ever have to really go to the bathroom but there's no place to go, just scratch the back of your calf as hard as you can. This will actually stall your brain, making it that you forgot you ever had to go.
I need to try that to see if that's actually true.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back.
What? I heard that about pigs, but I assumed it was cat.
Human
How
body
does
parts
that
that are
happen?
completely useless now. Number 1 is your external ear. Auricular muscles control the visible part of the ear, but humans have lost the ability to control this muscle, and other mammals can move their ears with these muscles in order to detect prey and localize sound. Next is wisdom teeth. About 85% of adults nowadays will have at least one wisdom tooth. Our ancestors used to have larger jaws, so wisdom teeth fit better, which is why we get ours removed now, and it was the answer for the need for chewing power that they needed. Next is body hair. Body hair was once required for warmth, and you can see we've lost a lot of it over time. We now have it in a reduced form. Next is your appendix. In plant-eating mammals, the appendix helps digest cellulose, and the appendix might not be completely useless. A recent study found that it helps aid in good gut bacteria. So let's say you have diarrhea and your intestines are flushed out, it provides good bacteria back to your gut after that.
This is the 5th
More you
scariest
know.
movie according to science. Paranormal Activity, released December 3rd, 2008. Before watching this movie, your beats per minute is around 62. While watching the movie though, it's bumped up to 85, making it a 15% difference in your beats per minute. A woman and a husband move into their dream home in San Diego. Unfortunately, since the woman could remember, she had felt like she had a weird paranormal presence around her that wasn't good. After the first couple nights of living in the new house and they can't sleep, the husband then sets up a camera in the bedroom, and the things they see, well, I guess you're just gonna have to watch the movie. The movie, as I said, is called Paranormal Activity, and it is supposedly the 5th scariest movie, according to science.
Not for me. I know I don't do scary movies.
If you're celebrating Halloween, you need to know about this movie. This movie was so popular when I was a kid, but I realized a lot of people actually don't know about it. Trick or Treat is a 2007 horror movie that includes 5 different Halloween-themed horror stories. So I'm gonna explain all 5 of them. The first story, called Opening, is about Emma and her boyfriend Henry who go home on Halloween night. Emma blows out a jack-o'-lantern and starts tearing down all their Halloween decorations, not knowing that someone is watching her, and she's just made a terrible mistake. The second story, Principal, begins with Charlie stealing candy from his high school principal's house when trick-or-treating, but then he gets caught by the principal, who seems to be hiding a secret double life. The third story is probably the most well-known, called Halloween School Bus. A group of teens go to a flooded quarry, where one of them tells the group about the urban legend of the Halloween school bus. And in this urban legend, 8 disabled students were unalived by a school bus driver, because their parents all asked the school bus driver to get rid of them, as the parents were tired of taking care of them. Then we find out this might not be an urban legend after all. The fourth story, Surprise Party, is about a group of women who meet a hooded man dressed as a vampire. This story has a very interesting plot twist that you won't see coming. And the last story, Sam, is about the neighbor of the principal from the second story. And he hates Halloween. But as he walks out of his house, he realizes his entire lawn is full of jack-o'-lanterns. And there's mysterious messages written all over. In this story, it's finally revealed who this creepy pumpkin from the movie poster truly is. Follow for more.
Now, I'm sure we've all fallen asleep
Interesting.
before, and our arm went to sleep, right? And all you need to do to get rid of it is shake your head from left to right and it'll be gone instantly. Next, if you ever feel the urge to pee really bad but you can't find a restroom anywhere, start wrapping the back of your legs just like this. And in theory, it should just stop the urge instantly, because it'll force your brain to forget about it. And if you're ever enjoying a nice ice cream and you start getting brain freeze, try to warm up your thumb and put it in the roof of your mouth as flat as possible. Apparently, this will make your brain freeze go away instantly. And finally, if like many others you're having troubles falling asleep, try to blink your eyes super fast for 60 seconds. Because it will make your eyes tired, which will make it easier for you to fall asleep.
Just blink. These we getting the ultimate life hacks.
Southeast Oklahoma. On a foggy day in 1970, a group of high school kids are cruising the back roads of Southeast Oklahoma. One of the boys had to pee, so they pulled over. He got out of the truck, walked about 50 yards into the woods so that he couldn't be seen. He heard a tree snap, looked up, and he's staring in the eyes of a creature 3 foot taller than any man. It had matted hair, red eyes, and blood dripping off its chin. The boys ran as fast as they could back to the truck, yelling, "Start the truck, start the truck!" But what happens next is terrifying. The boys go to the sheriff's department, and when the deputy goes out to investigate, all he sees is animal carcasses everywhere. And the legend of the Green Hill Monster was born.
Green Hill Monster? We're gonna have to definitely do some research on that. That's my first time even hearing about that. So I watch these clips with you guys, man. Always expand my knowledge base.
Variants are real, and I'm gonna show you exactly why. It's always the guy with the backwards baseball cap talking about this goofy shit. How's it going? My name's Vinny Santoro. I got a bachelor's of business from UMass Lowell. I like your chain though, dude. No hard feelings. I know a paisan when I see one. I just gotta give you a hard time. Everything grew a lot bigger because of oxygen levels. You should start teaching critical thinking at UMass Lowell. The time when there was more oxygen was like 200 million years ago, and the only thing that got bigger was insects. If this was a tree, the branches would be in like the goddamn troposphere. Does that make any sense? We read about them everywhere. They're in the Bible, they're right. But wait till you hear this. This book is called The Phantom Toll Booth, and in it there's a dog with a clock in it. Liberal media wants you to think this doesn't exist, but it literally says it right there in the book. The Smithsonian, they had their fingers in all of these reports. I love how many conspiracy theorists cite the whole Smithsonian destroyed giant skeletons claim literally originated in 2014 on a satire website. It was literally like The Onion. So you'll get these videos of these conspiracy theorists who are like, yeah, I have my third eye open, I read between the lines, and their source is like fucking Clickhole.
This creepy painting is actually some sort of evil apparition. Let's talk about the Rat Queen from the Layers of Fear remake. And of course, spoilers ahead. The Rat Queen also exists in the original versions of Layers of Fear 1 and 2, but we're going to be focusing on the remake. The Rat Queen appears mostly as a painting in the stories of the painter from Layers of Fear 1 and the actor from Layers of Fear 2. She seems like a malevolent force that rats are drawn to, but it's unclear as to what her intentions are. What's really happening is that in the remake, the writer is writing the stories of the painter and the actor. For those of you not familiar with the series, these are character names. At the beginning of the writer's time living in the lighthouse, she unknowingly enters a pact with the painting of the Rat Queen. And part of that pact is the Rat Queen helping her turn those stories into successful books. However, this comes at a cost, and the writer ended up losing her son as a result of the pact. She returned to the lighthouse to burn the Rat Queen painting, but was met with a surprise. The physical form of the Rat Queen appeared and locked her in the lighthouse forever.
It's a spooky story.
To get the new Lamborghini profile icon, but everyone's getting scammed trying to do it. Over the last few months, there's been loads of profile icons coming out, and now you may have seen this new McLaren one going about. Quite cool, especially compared to some of the other ones we've had, but no one actually knows how to get it. A lot of people were saying that if you just type McLaren in the comment section, it comes up and gives it to you, but it definitely doesn't. But what is the actual way to do it? Well, I'll tell you right now. But first of all, you've got to go over to Tate McRae's page, who, if you don't know, is this person right here. Click on her profile picture and it will come up with this, and you press Get Frame. After that, it will take you to this page, which comes up with her new release and loads of stuff, where then, similar to the Squid Game one, you have to take part in a few challenges, complete these things before you can get it, such as following her, posting a video to the song, and also putting that in the hashtags of the video. Once your video is done, set to public and posted, after you've done this and the video is posted, the frame should just pop up on your page. If it doesn't, just click on your profile picture, go to frames where you can see all of yours, and select this one, and there you go. Scariest.
So I guess that's how people be manipulating the system. Gotta do all that just, and people be doing that just to get an icon of a car on top of their profile. I wonder how many artists does that trick, man. They call it marketing, but could be looking at, as manipulating the market, man. I don't know.
Things
catacombs ever found in the woods. A biker was in a Colorado forest when he found a metal wire tied across 2 trees. Soon more bikers began reporting the same thing. Someone had even lost their lives to one of these wires. It seems someone wants to harm bikers for some reason. Police have been looking into this, but so far have not found whoever's doing it. In December 2014, a man heard screaming coming from the woods behind his house.
It's a kid screaming for his dad.
You can hear a girl screaming "Daddy" and an adult voice saying, "Where are you?" The man who heard this said he checked the news every day, but heard nothing about the incident on the news. Some people commented on this, saying it may have been a setup for a kidnapping, but really, we don't know. One day, a Forest Service officer was doing a routine patrol of a trail in Utah. That's when he noticed a tripwire tied between 2 trees. He followed the wire, and it led him to this. A ball made of rocks and sharpened sticks, which was set to fall when the tripwire was hit. That was bad enough, but he soon found another trap on the same trail. A tripwire pulled tight, which would cause people to fall into a bed of sharpened sticks. Police began investigating this, which led them to 2 men, Benjamin Rodkowski and Kai Christensen. They claimed the traps had been set for animals, but the police did not believe this. The 2 men were later sentenced to 30 days in jail.
Just 30 days? These are some Rambo crap. Just 30 days? That ain't enough. You saw that dragonfish? That always blows my mind, man, when we go like under the sea, and we just find new creatures. I'm pretty sure the
Here are
dragonfish
6
ain't
facts
there.
that sound completely fake but are 100% true. I can pretty much guarantee one of these will be the coolest thing you've heard all day. Firstly, Picasso was alive at the same time as Eminem and Charles Darwin. Let that sink in for a second. What? Stonehenge was a tourist attraction for ancient Romans. The can opener wasn't invented until 48 years after the can. I mean, what? I imagine a lot of you enjoy eating oysters. I absolutely fucking do not. So might you after this fact. I'm so sorry. Oysters are always served to you alive. They only die when they go down your gullet. I mean, that's just What? If you shuffle a deck of cards, it is statistically likely that you've shuffled them in an order that has never existed before and will never exist again. Essentially, you were the first person in history to shuffle them in that exact sequence. Oh, and while we're on the topic of just what the fuck, there are more ways to play a game of chess than there are atoms in the observable universe. And if you type this into the comments, you unlock a secret TikTok emoji. Okay, that's enough whining for the day. Everyone with me?
Really?
Let's talk about a disturbing horror game that left me with more questions than answers. I Live Under Your House. Full game playthrough on my channel. This entire game is an enigma. You play as an unnamed creature that we never get to see. The only thing we know about your character is that they live underground beneath modern human civilization. You don't like leaving your tunnels, you don't want to go to the surface. But in this game, you have to. Loud construction work occurring directly above you causes you to investigate the surface, and you end up coming face to face with the human couple. The main hook of the gameplay is the amazing art style and trying to figure out what exactly you are. And the ending of this game, as well as its DLC, were certainly not what I expected.
So check that out. I think I could check out some scary
This is genuinely
games.
one of the most disturbing videos I have ever seen. It is the final footage that was found of a man who got lost in the Paris catacombs. In the 90s, a group of explorers were going through the catacombs of Paris, and they were getting pretty deep in there when they found a camera that was just abandoned. And upon reviewing the footage, they realized that it was from a man who was exploring down there, but he got lost. Watching the footage is incredibly chilling because he's picking up bones and skulls while he's exploring, but there's a point where either he hears something or he sees something and he begins running. He's running frantically and you can hear his breath getting louder and louder and louder. There's points where he doesn't know which way to turn, and finally, as he's running, he drops the camera. Based off of the paintings that people were able to see in the footage and the testimony of the people who found the camera, this man was insanely deep underground in the catacombs. He was really far into the uncharted sections. And you may have heard of the film As Above, So Below, the movie that was actually inspired by this footage. As Above, So Below is a found footage horror movie about a group of people going into the Paris catacombs trying to find a hidden chamber to find the Philosopher's Stone, the secret to eternal life, but they actually end up going into the layers of hell. And the creators of this film saw this found found footage from the 90s and it inspired them to make their own movie. So As Above, So Below is based on a true story. I'm doing a whole episode over on my pod Frightful Fandom talking about the history of the catacombs, what they were used for, this very unfortunate true life case, and of course As Above, So Below.
Here are 10 creepy, disturbing, and scary facts you didn't know. Part 2. Today's high school students have the same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients had in the 1950s. Until 1974, it was illegal to appear in public in the city of Chicago if you were ugly. During the early 1990s, a serial killer named Joseph Metheny owned a burger stand located in Baltimore, Maryland. After his arrest in 1996, he confessed to feeding his customers the flesh of at least 3 humans he had murdered. A new homeowner was shocked to find a rag doll boarded up in a wall cavity, clutching a note saying she killed a family. In 1977, we received a radio signal from space that lasted 42 seconds. To this day, we still don't know where that signal came from. The movie The Hills Have Eyes was based on the true story of the Bean Clan, a Scottish family who would secretly ambush, kill, and eat travelers for 25 years. In 1957, 2 sisters, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, were killed in a tragic car accident. A year later, their mother gave birth to twins, Jennifer and Jillian. Then it gets weird. Jennifer, the younger twin, had scars and birthmarks on her body that were identical to Jacqueline's, the deceased younger sister. The twins began to ask for toys that had belonged to the deceased girl, toys they had no knowledge of. Albert Fish, an American serial killer, boasted that he killed in every state and claimed to have had over 100 victims. What makes him even more sickening is that he sent letters to his victims' parents to tell them how good their children tasted. A man named Francesco Lentini had 3 legs, 4 feet, 16 toes, and 2 sets of functioning male genitals. He worked for a circus and lived until the age of 78. In 2011, Anatoly Yurovich was arrested after 12 dolls were found in his apartment. However, they weren't regular dolls. They were recently deceased little girls that he had dug up, dressed up, and displayed. Like for part 3.
While this creature is about the size of a teddy bear and has big, adorable eyes, experts say to stay away from a slow loris at all costs. If you even attempt to pick it up and hold it, it will most likely feel threatened and try to bite you. And their bites are filled with a fast-acting poison, so it's best to just admire its cuteness from far away. Seals may look adorable swimming and splashing in the water, but these guys are not to be messed with, especially if they're leopard seals. Leopard seals are known to be extremely aggressive and have been reported to attack researchers if they get too close to them. And even though their bites might not be enough to kill you, they can still leave you with permanent damage. Swans are seen as one of the most beautiful animals, but if you ever see one swimming around in a lake, don't even think about feeding them. Just like other wild animals, swans will assume that humans are threats, and if you try to feed them, they'll just get closer to you until it tries to bite you. Most people see dolphins as one of the friendliest creatures that everyone wants to swim with, but the only people that should be swimming with them are professionals. Wild dolphins have an instinct to attack without a clear purpose, so if you plan to get in the water with them, it's best to swim at a nice distance, because you'll never know what state they're in.
Creepy last words people said right before dying. A 20-year-old gang member was dying of primary liver cancer. In his last days, hours, and moments, he was angry. The family called the hospice nurse into the room and told her that they thought he was going. He wasn't responding, his eyes were glossy, his skin was cold, the end was imminent. His lovely mother whispered to him to go towards the light, to her Jesus. He opened his eyes, looked at her, and said, "F your Jesus." A second or two later, he slowly turned his head to the left and got the most horrific look on his face, as if he was looking at something that they couldn't see. And horrified, his face contorted, and he screamed with his last breath, eyes wide, "Oh sh*! Oh sh*! Oh no!" Then he made a guttural noise and promptly fell back into the bed and died. Every family member was shaking and too frightened to speak. The hospice nurse left the room and took 2 days off. She said she doesn't care if she never finds out what he saw.
What did he see, Seekers?
AI art is not something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman
that is haunting AI pictures. Sees the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
Dirty facts about history.
Damn, what do you guys think, bro? We know AI, man, that technology, it keeps getting more advanced. So could that have been a glitch, or was somebody doing that on purpose? Or is it really just haunted, bro? AI is going in. It's not like we can control it, we can regulate it, but it's getting too advanced for my taste.
That school probably didn't teach you. In the 1400s, prostitutes wore wigs on their lady parts with fake pubic hair to prevent lice and cover up any syphilis sores before doing the dirty. An intern at NASA once stole a safe full of moon rocks, sprinkled them on a hotel bed, and proceeded to have sex with his girlfriend on top of them. Man was sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for getting his rocks off. Raphael, the Italian Renaissance artist, not the Ninja Turtle, died of exhaustion from non-stop sex. In other words, he boned till he croaked. A common hairstyle in 17th century Europe was the Polish plait, a gross, smelly mass of crusty, matted hair cemented together by pus, nits, and dirt. The hairstyle was believed to have healing properties and could supposedly protect people from illnesses. During the Iron Age in Ireland, a new king would be crowned in a ceremony in which he penetrated a horse in front of an audience. The horse would then be eaten for dinner by everyone who just witnessed them doing the dirty.
Hell no. I don't know what type of rituals and stuff they was doing back in the day, but that ain't it. What the hell? Edit. Call him out.
There was only one child when this photo was taken. Let's enhance it with sharp AI. Mer and Mrs. Colton were taking a picture of their daughter. When they developed it, they were shocked to see their older daughter, Anne, who had to 3D only months prior in an accident. The other child seems to be sensing a presence, but after this picture was taken, they never saw Anne again.
How the hell did AI know that? It's getting too advanced. I'm
Did
telling
you know
y'all.
that there is a mummy in Sicily that blinks? Yes, she blinks. This is Rosalie Lombardo, who died of pneumonia in the 1920s at the age of 2 years old. Rosalie is perfectly preserved, from her external features to her internal organs, but that's not the strangest part. Her eyes are still as blue and flawless as the day that she passed away. She simply looks like a child taking a nap. But this child tends to open her eyes and close them randomly, like she's blinking away the cobwebs. People have come to see her for hundreds of years, and every time, visitors will leave and say, "That dead girl is blinking." What do you think it is?
How the hell is she blinking? We seen by the clips that we viewed together how sometimes, you know, like even the body after it passes, it goes on, like it still does, like, I guess, weird things because of build up gas and things and stuff like that. But to be blinking, I've never heard that before. I need you guys' theories on that one.
I bet you don't know how false teeth were originally made. In the very beginning, most sets were made of animal teeth. These proved to be uncomfortable and ineffective. So that's when they started venturing into using human teeth in dentures. In the 1700s is when sugar became widely available across Europe, and sugar started to cause the teeth to decay way more rapidly. It wasn't uncommon for a peasant to remove their own tooth and sell it for a quick buck. There was also an issue with grave robbing to obtain teeth. Of course, neither of those were needed when Waterloo teeth became a thing. With over 50,000 young men lost at the Battle of Waterloo, suddenly they realized they had an overabundance of teeth. So it wasn't uncommon at all for someone to be wearing the teeth of a soldier.
People were stealing teeth back in the day. The more you know.
Is this the one that allegedly appears in the cemetery at night? Yes, it is. So this right here is Fabiola Rodriguez's grave site, and in August of 2020, her mom noticed that certain things were going missing, like toys and personal belongings from the site. A grave nearby this one, they have a camera attached to it because somebody had been vandalizing their son's grave. So anyway, these people notice this on their camera footage and go to the cemetery owners who say, we know who that is. So they get her contact information and introduce themselves to her and say, hey, we have something really beautiful to show you that we caught on our camera. And her mom just broke down into tears because she was like, that is my baby. I know it is. That is my baby. It also captured her walking away with what appears to be a man. And her mom, Sandra, said, I think she was there to take him to heaven. They both have a tragic story of things that happened to them. And I mean, both of them still haven't gotten justice. So I think she was there to comfort him and take him to heaven. But yeah, I mean, isn't that just amazing?
The camera caught it. She said it was her baby, so I'll take her. We're going to have to check up on that one. Mysterious.
This is the scary story about the mom. One night, there was a 6-year-old girl who woke up in the middle of the night to her mom standing over her bed, staring down at her with a creepy smile on her face. The girl knew something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. The girl then said, Mom? Yes, she replied. What are you doing, the girl asked. Watching you sleep, she said. Why, said the girl. The mom didn't say anything and kept staring at her, smiling. They each didn't say a word to each other for minutes, but still keeping eye contact with each other. Then the mom began to walk backwards, still staring at the girl with that creepy smile, and then went into the girl's closet and shut the door. The girl then got up and ran to her mom's bedroom and saw her mom asleep in her bed.
Why was the mom staring over
Deadliest
her?
disasters in human history.
Oh.
Part 1. In 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger broke apart 73 seconds into its flight, killing all 7 crew members aboard. The astronauts actually lived through the initial explosion and survived for nearly 3 minutes before they died on impact with the water. In 1184, a group of nobles gathered in a room in the Church of St. Peter above the latrine pit of the monks. All of a sudden, the floor collapsed due to their combined weight, causing 60 nobles to fall to their death into a pool of poop and sewage. In 1893, gifts were being passed out at a magic show in Victoria Hall. Over 1,000 kids tried to force themselves down a narrow staircase that led to a single door that opened inward. Only one child at a time could pass through, causing 183 children to be crushed to death.
Man, what the hell? All over some damn toys. These, man, like I said, when we read these clips together, bro, it's always bothering my mind, man. We learning new things every single day. Tap in with us.
Animals that became serial killers, Part 2. The Sloth Bear of Mysore. In 1957, the Sloth Bear of Mysore mauled over 30 humans and took the lives of 12. The Sloth Bear's killing spree didn't stop, and the bear just had a desire for killing. The killer Sloth Bear went missing in late 1957, after the killings took place. What do you think ever happened to the Sloth Bear of Mysore?
Whoa. Did they like hunt for it or try to take it down, or they just let it roam?
In California, when their son began to say something very creepy.
On a family vacation that took a strange turn. He visited the same area where a missing woman was last seen.
He said that there was a woman staring at him in the field nearby.
Got goosebumps. He said she needs our help, but she's dead, and she's laying face down with her legs up. She can't talk to me, but she's over there. We need to go help her.
Freaked out by this, both of his parents went to go check the surrounding area, but found nothing.
He said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom. He kept saying, trust me, Mom.
After arriving home, Victoria posts about the experience to Facebook, and not long after she does so, the police came knocking at her door with photos of a woman named Sandra Johnson Hughes. She had gone missing in the exact same location 1 year prior. Authorities would then proceed to exhaust their efforts, searching the area over the next few days. Sadly, they would find nothing. If what this little boy was saying was true, experts believe that any evidence of her remains would be long gone by now. Could Caden have actually seen the ghost of this woman, or is his description merely a coincidence? What do you believe?
Black shirt and blue hair. He describes down to blue hair. Said she has a black shirt, blue jeans, and blue hair, Mom.
Hayden was able to identify 3 out of 4 pictures of her. Detectives went back to the meadow with the Gorba family to investigate, but the case remains open.
That is insane. How he nailed like that description. He must. Whoa, that's really mind blowing. You guys really think you saw something? This world, man.
Terrifying animals who are glad are extinct. Number 1, the megalodon shark. This animal can grow to about 60 feet long, and one tooth is said to be the size of a human.
Damn.
They were meat-eating creatures that could kill and destroy just about anything. If they were still around today, oceans would be off limits. Number 2, the titanoboa. This snake weighed about 2,000 pounds but was also 40 feet long. The snakes killed their prey with constrictions, meaning they would suffocate them to death. Number 3, the Caprosuchus. Just imagine if a T-Rex and a crocodile had a baby. This animal looks like a crocodile, but it has very long legs and can run very fast. The Caprosuchus could run as fast as 40 kilometers per hour. For context, the average male human runs at just 13 kilometers per hour. For more,
Morbid facts that will give you nightmares. When a prisoner is electrocuted in an electric chair, they can feel absolutely everything. They are fully aware that their body is being fried in real time, and one prisoner that survived said he actually smelled and tasted like cold peanut butter. Human corpses decompose 4 times faster in water than underground, and 8 times faster if left in the open air. It takes around 359 humans to have enough iron to forge a sword from their blood. Just about 3,000 people go missing every single year in the US. The last execution by guillotine was in 1977 in France. That was exactly the same year that the first Star Wars movie came out.
Insane to think about that last fact.
These are animals that used to be giants, part 1. Up first are bears. And yes, we all know bears are still pretty big and dangerous, but nothing is compared to what bears used to look like. So you see this mountain, and you see how it looks like it has a bunch of claw marks up and down it? Well, that's because it does. This mountain is called Devil's Tower, and there's a very disturbing story behind it. The scratches on this mountain are actually from a giant bear's claws. The bear always tried to reach the top, but it never could. This story has been passed down to generations of Native American tribes. And just imagine coming in contact with a bear this big.
What the hell? See, could you guys believe that one? A bear that big, man, was trying to crawl up that mountain? They said that story's been passed down for generations, so... I couldn't even imagine seeing a bear like that. The whole ecosystem would be different.
This picture has in common. There might be a lot of people who don't know this, but they were a part of the original case that inspired the film Scream. It was 1990, Gainesville, Florida, the University of Florida, where a string of horrific crimes took place, and it involved those students. And when I think of almost every victim involved, Krista's story is definitely one of the most chilling, as her body was first found, but her head was found separately on her dresser. There were all these suspicions, and eventually some circumstantial evidence would put this kid behind bars, especially because he looked the part. The problem here is that he wasn't the guy. This was like a 72-hour period where it was just back-to-back slayings, till eventually they found their culprit, who was camping out in the woods outside of the university and was recording himself singing songs about what he had done. And if you want additional details on this, we covered a whole episode getting into the back.
I never knew Scream was based off that. I'm telling you, man, these media pieces, they be based on true stories. We just don't know the real backstory behind it, man. Another one. Exposed.
We figured, look, if we can make perfect copies of these Parthenon sculptures, the visitors will have the same experience when they come to the British Museum. They'll see these amazing statues, they'll understand the aesthetics of antiquity, the Greeks would have their treasured objects back, and everybody would be happy. That was the plan. The British Museum decided they would take a very strong position against the project. So of course we did it anyway. And we did it guerrilla style, because we read the regulations for the museum. It says specifically, visitors may use 3D scanning equipment in the museum, and they may use the product of those 3D scans for any non-commercial purpose. Boom, we're done. So we went in guerrilla style and made scans of all the Parthenon sculptures.
I mean, so what's the pitch? Why should the British Museum have the copies, not the originals.
The Parthenon sculptures in their current state teach people absolutely nothing. In fact, they misinform people about the aesthetics of antiquity. These things were brightly painted with skin tones and garish colors. So the British Museum could take these copies, and not only could they display them in exactly the same form in which they are being displayed now, they would also have the capacity to restore them to the condition they were in when they were on the Parthenon, so people can really understand what the aesthetics of the ancient world were like, and to see them in their full glory.
Today's true crime story is
Yeah, so why did the British Museum, why did they want the real ones instead of, I guess, the replicas that they were making? That's the question we need to really be asking.
pretty chilling, okay? This one even scared me, right? But anyways, this has some very disturbing and graphic details. Viewer discretion is advised. In the early 1900s in Bavaria, Germany, the Gruber family lived in this farmhouse called the Hinterkaifeck. The family consisted of husband and wife Andreas and Kazilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, and Victoria kids Joseph and Kazilia. The family noticed a lot of strange things going on around the house. Andreas noticed a set of keys that were missing, and also there were footprints in the snow leading from the woods to the house, but there was never no footprints ever leaving the house. There was also a newspaper in the house that Andreas never remembered buying, and it looked as if someone was trying to pick at the lock on the shed. While all these strange things were going on, they had a maid at the time, and the maid was like, "Look, I gotta quit. This house is haunted." The family kept hearing noises in the attic, and the maid just like, "Look, I can't be here anymore. The noises in the attic, all the stuff going on around here, I can't do it."
She's smart.
Although strange things continue to happen in the house, the family ends up hiring a new maid named Marie. What the Gruber family did not know was that those strange things would lead to their murder. On the evening of March 31st, 1922, the Gruber family was murdered. Victoria's son Joseph was killed in his crib, and Maria was killed in her bed. What's so crazy about this is that same day, March 31st, 1922, that was the same day that the maid Maria was hired. Meanwhile, the rest of the Gruber family was found murdered in the barn, and they were stacked on top of each other. When people in the town didn't see the family for days, they grew concerned, and the police came to the house, and then that's when they discovered all the bodies. All the victims were killed by a pickaxe, but the police were so puzzled about something. The family wasn't found until 6 days later, but it seemed like someone had made themselves at home. Police noticed that food was being eaten, the animals were being fed, someone was sleeping in the beds, sitting on the furniture, things like that. For years, the police were looking for the suspect or suspects, but they couldn't find anybody. So the case was closed in 1955, and the year after the murders, the whole farmhouse was demolished. To me, I feel like someone was able to sneak into the house without the family's knowledge and was living in the attic for months. That's what I think. Alright, y'all, that's it, and I'll be back to do more true crime videos for you guys.
We heard cases about that before, people being in the places and they don't know.
In 2018, both of these women were found decapitated in Morocco. And trigger warning, this story is extremely disturbing. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this story takes us to Morocco, but specifically to the Atlas Mountain. And the two victims were Louisa Jespersen, who was 24 years old from Denmark, and her friend Maren Uland, who was 28 years old from Norway. And in December of 2018, both of the women had decided to go on a month-long camping trip in the mountains. And both of the women had also been studying outdoor activities at the University of Southeastern Norway. They were also apparently roommates, and they were training to become guides. Now, it's believed that both of the women were being targeted by the men that ended up attacking them. Not only were they targeted, they were also observed for multiple days before the entire thing happened. And on December 17th, both of their bodies were found beheaded inside of their tents by another hiker. Shortly after that, there was a video that went viral on the dark web that supposedly showed one of the beheadings. And even though you could dig deep enough to find this video, I really don't recommend watching it. Just reading the comments alone about the video and what it shows are extremely disturbing. But I'll describe it for you guys in the least graphic way possible. Now, the video is quite short, but it begins with one of the women being filmed on what appears to be a cell phone. At first, she's being filmed while she's lying down on her stomach. And you can see one of the perpetrators trying to cut her head from the back. When the perpetrator realizes that this was not going to work, he then turns her around so she's facing up. He then puts his foot on her face, kind of locking her into place on the ground, and proceeds to decapitate her. And apparently all you can hear in the video is her screaming for her life as she asks and begs for her mother. Eventually, authorities were able to find their main suspects, which were these
Twitch streamers. In this 2019 clip, this Twitch streamer is walking through the streets of Japan when he notices something weird. As the streamer is recording, he notices a creepy guy wearing a mask who seems to be following him. Scared, the streamer turns to one side of the street to see if the creepy masked guy is actually following him, confirming his fears.
Wait, he turned. Do I run?
The streamer panics and starts to run forward, but as he notices that the guy is still following him, he begins to shout at him.
Why did you do that?
As a surprise, the guy claims to be a fan and that he was just trying to talk to the streamer.
Nah, you gotta be kept. I don't think so, man. He was following street to street, just saying he was a fan. Come up, say hi or something, man. Don't go around following people, man. That's how people get hurt. You can't be doing that.
Disturbing things found by YouTubers. In this 2008 video, a YouTuber has just returned home when he finds one of his dogs terrified, hiding under the bed. The YouTuber tries in any way to get the dog out from under the bed, but the animal, seemingly disturbed, remains hidden. After 45 minutes, the dog finally emerges for a couple of seconds, just to return terrified one more time under the bed. Unable to calm the dog, the YouTuber starts by looking around, finding that also his cat is making strange movements, pointing his head to the attic door. The man decides to go up to the attic to find out what is going on, when suddenly...
Terrifying apps you should never download. Part 2. Camster. On the surface, this app seems extremely harmless. When downloading on the iPhone, you have the option to connect to a network of iPhones, connecting you to security footage, MacBook cameras, iPhone cameras. What they don't tell you is when downloading this app, you're giving people free reign to look into your things as well. Meaning that if you're on your iPhone, people could be staring directly at you and you have no idea what's going on.
You won't be getting that. That's a backdoor to your phone.
People go missing every day. Sometimes they're on a train, and sometimes they're cross-country skiing. Well, retired police officer David Politis noticed many similarities between these disappearances. In every case, no person that went missing left behind a scent for a police dog to pick up. They just vanished. Sometimes these people are never found, and sometimes they're found hundreds of miles away. Just like with our subject today, Stephen Kubacki. In February of 1977, 23-year-old Stephen took a solo cross-country skiing trip near Lake Michigan and planned to be gone just for the day. He reached the edge of the lake and decided to take his skis off to rest. When he got up to leave, he noticed that his tracks were gone and he quickly became lost and disoriented. Next thing you know, he blacks out and immediately it was springtime. He was lying in a field in the middle of a forest wearing random clothes, and next to him was a backpack containing shoes and glasses that were not his. He decided to hike to the closest town and ask a local where he was, and they told him that he was in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, 700 miles away from where he was skiing. His aunt and father just so happened to live in Pittsfield as well. And so he knocked on his aunt's door, and his entire family was curious and shocked as to where he was. He was missing for 14 months and has zero idea of what happened. According to police, he left a 200-yard trail of footprints in the snow that led past the edge of the lake and just ended abruptly. This led investigators to believe he drowned underneath thick ice. But what happened to Stephen is a mystery, and we will never truly know what occurred during those 14 months he was gone.
I don't know how to even explain
Our
that
chimney
phenomenon.
hasn't been used in over 100 years. But there's something lodged halfway up. Let me explain. So me and Georgia decided to replace this broken gas fireplace. We wanted to expose the original bricks. I was checking the rear of the mantle, and that's when I saw it.
That's eerie. I wouldn't trust that.
I couldn't reach it, so I had to get up into the chimney.
You get stuck. You're claustrophobic looking like that.
There's definitely something inside.
You think?
Follow for part 2.
It's kind of giving skit energy, bro. No way.
On
they just
Instagram, I've
found
been seeing
that.
like I don't know if you people are getting messages like, and they're receiving like a picture of a girl, a blonde girl.
Stop fucking around.
All right, so look, it's this picture. I'm gonna put up on the screen so you guys can see it too. It's been a while since you called. Did you miss me yet? Just got a message that is a trap used by a sex trafficking ring. I literally just found out about it on TikTok a few days ago. Thank God. Please don't respond to them, as they can get your exact location. If you do, block the number ASAP. Stay safe, guys. And then people will answer like, maybe some people fall for it, but
that shit's mad fucking scary.
Those bots accounts, man, always trying to DM you some weird crap.
Proof we are living in a simulation part 5.
Oh, I'm out. That ain't your house no more, man. That's the Scorpions. How could something like that even happen? Animating? That's sad. God damn.
Daisy, just stay calm, stay calm. Daisy, stay calm. Don't move, I'm digging you out.
Oh, what the heck? It's like trapped, buried beneath.
Daisy, stay calm.
She's extremely lucky, man, that he saw that.
Ça va, ça va. Merci. Ça va.
You have to have good eyes to spot that, man.
Scariest videos found on the dark web. Part 2.
Making him eat that?
4-year-old Riker wed after his rescue on June 5th. Riker has been found hungry, thirsty and cold, but in good health after going missing for 2 days near his home in Montana. He was last seen playing with the family's dog. After disappearing, police received a concerned call from a neighbor and began searching. A code red was sent to all nearby residents as teams combed through dense vegetation in the area. He was found on Pine Ridge Road, about 2.5 miles from where he'd last been seen.
Scary.
The boy in this photo, Martin Bryant, would grow up and kill 35 people in 24 hours. Martin was born in Australia in 1967, and growing up, his mother described him as a bit different. He would bully his classmates at school and really liked to torture and kill animals. This behavior caused him to be evaluated by a psychologist who determined that he had an IQ of 66, meaning he legally has a mental disability. At age 14, Martin's father Maurice purchased him an air rifle, and the kid would use it to shoot at birds and passing cars, earning him the nickname Silly Martin. In 1993, his dad tries to buy a bed and breakfast near a place called Port Arthur, but before Maurice could get the money, another couple purchases it, causing him to go into a deep depression. This event set Martin off the deep end, causing him to craft a plan for revenge. On April 28th, 1996, Martin drives to Port Arthur with guns and ammo and proceeds to kill the old couple who had purchased the B&B. He then proceeds to take the lives of 33 others in the area before being taken into custody a few hours later. This incident causes the Australian government to reform their gun laws, making it near impossible for people to purchase a rifle or a shotgun similar to the ones Martin had used in the shooting. He pleads guilty to 35 counts of murder, and Martin Bryant is sentenced to 1,035 years in prison.
That was a chilling story, man. Life was gone 2 years ago, so who was he talking to?
Robert Pickton was a farmer and a serial killer. He would lure young women into his trailer, where he would inject them with antifreeze or strangle them. He would butcher their bodies like a farm animal and feed them to pigs. But that's not the most disturbing part. He would take what was ever left of their flesh and guts and grind it up with pork, and then he would turn it into sausage and other meats and feed it to people. Not only would he give the sausages to neighbors, but he took the meat to a piggy farm concert and would give the meat out to everybody at the concert. So not only are they eating animals, but they're eating humans too. He began these murders in 1980 and wasn't caught until 2002. So who knows how many people he was feeding humans to.
It took him 12 years to get caught and he was feeding humans to people. They're the most disturbing people I've heard yet, man, watching these clips.
Charles Manson. Little backstory, he had a rough upbringing. When his mom had him, she was 16 years old. Apparently, she was at a bar one day, and the bartender was like, wow, what I would do to have like such a beautiful baby like that. Apparently, his mom was like, give me a beer and you can have the baby. Apparently, the bartender gave her a beer, she drank it, and gave her the baby. Then apparently it took like 2 weeks, and his uncle is the one that went and found the bartender and got him back. He did commit a lot of crimes growing up, basically throughout his entire life, that the list is insane, dude. Things I never even knew he did. Like, it went from robbery to running an underground casino. It all kind of got a little serious when he was 18 and got caught sexually assaulting a boy at knife point. Then went to jail and then sexually assaulted 3 more men in jail. He got out, got married, then got a divorce a year later, and then started seeing a 16-year-old. Eventually ended up getting married to a prostitute named Candy, and then they got a divorce when he got arrested again. He said he fell in love with Scientology and music. So in 1967, he was released from jail and he moved to San Francisco, and he joined this hippie group where they preached about like LSD and like being free and like leaving and stuff like that. And that's where Charles actually started forming his own cult. And a lot like Ted Bundy, where he was a very charismatic dude, like people were very fond of him. In this hippie group, he started getting females that like wanted to follow him basically, and then he moved them over to Swan Ranch in California. His community just kept getting bigger. He released a song with Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys, which I didn't know, and that really boosted him up in the society's eyes, and a lot of people started moving to this ranch, and they say it got upwards to like towards 100 people. And all of a sudden one day,
So he made it cult. Building out. Sometimes kids can sense those things.
The ever experience. And I hope you never have to experience this or any of the illnesses that we've talked about before, because
Couldn't even see what he was talking about.
This is why you should always take your lockdown drills seriously. In 2017, 2 16-year-olds were in their school bathroom when the lights suddenly went out and their school went into lockdown. Feeling rebellious, they decide, you know what, let's go explore the school a little bit first, and then we'll go follow procedure. They step out of the bathroom and look down the hall towards their classroom, and they see this large figure standing in front of their classrooms. It's definitely not a student, it's not a teacher. He's got ragged clothes on and he starts walking towards them. They dart right back into the bathroom to the corner stall where they hide, praying that that man didn't see them. The man bursts in and starts yanking open all the stalls. Not wanting to see what happens when he gets to their stall, they get on the ground and start crawling to the side of the room, where they finally get up and make a run for the door. They look back and he's holding a gun. The boys manage to get away safely and no one's hurt, but the police never capture the ragged man.
Humans Can Lick 2 Part 2. When the girl woke up in the middle of the night, she heard a strange dripping noise coming from the bathroom, but she thought it's just the sink faucet, probably needs to be fixed. And again, she stuck her hand under her bed so that her dog could lick it, and her dog did lick it. Around 6 a.m., she noticed headlights pulling into her driveway, which meant that her parents were home. So she thought, great, they can just take care of the dripping faucet. She got up to use the restroom and greet her parents when she was greeted by something else. In the restroom, draped over the shower curtain rod, was a lifeless body, which had been skinned, and that's what was making the dripping noise. The girl ran back to her bedroom to get a weapon when she noticed a note on the floor right by her bed. And it said, "Humans can lick too," written in. So if you didn't quite catch on, in the middle of the night when the girl woke up, her dog was no longer under her bed. It was a serial killer.
Whoa. Is that cap
This
fact?
is 19-year-old Austin Harif, a college student better known as the Cannibal Killer, after attacking a random couple in 2016. In the summer of 2016, Austin had just finished up his freshman year at Florida State and was living with his family west of Palm Beach. Everything was normal on the night of August 15th until he suddenly left their family dinner without saying why. Austin walked more than 3 miles before coming across John and Michelle Stevens, who were just enjoying the night and having a beer in their garage. The next thing that anyone knew, a neighbor heard horrible screams coming from their driveway and called 911. Authorities responded to the scene to find 2 dead bodies and Austin attempting to eat the face of one of his victims. He actually almost had to be killed, as authorities couldn't get him to stop even after using a taser and their police dogs. An autopsy reported that the couple died of blunt force trauma and stab wounds, and Austin claims to have no memory of killing them or why he did it. Just before the murders, he reportedly went from a normal and outgoing college student to believing that he was half animal and half man. In the weeks prior, Austin moved his bed to his family's garage to avoid demons, and he would patrol the house at night instead of sleeping. While there is no excuse for what happened, I do agree with the prosecution suggesting that he was truly in a psychotic episode when the attack occurred. He is currently awaiting his trial today.
Half man, half animal.
Your parents, you should have been better. You should have done more. You failed miserably. And because you failed as parents, my sister and brother-in-law are dead. Did you really sit here for the past 6 years believing that toxicology report, thinking he didn't do drugs? No one in your family has taken any responsibility for what has happened, not even you. I hate you. I hate you all. I hate what you did. I really think you deserve to die, Austin. Your family deserves to suffer the way my family suffered. Judge Bauer, I hope there's a consideration, whether anyone thinks the defendant was insane or not, that allowing him back into society where he could do this to another family rests on you. I hope that he stays wherever you are sending him forever, and if not forever, for at least my lifetime. Or I hope society is ready to live with a person like you.
So that was her sister. Obviously, she said what she felt. I'm gonna follow up on that, man. See if they let him out or if he got life. Man, that was crazy.
First ever footage of Madeleine McKenna after the event.
Spotted on 4th of May 2007, one day after her disappearance. This girl had heterochromia and was seen 2 miles from the crime scene.
This is a man who killed his family twice. Gregory Green is a convicted murderer who completely failed at his second chance at life. In his early 20s, he married Tanya Green. It wasn't long into the marriage that Gregory started to show some signs of abusiveness, such as jealousy, anger, and violence. While Tanya was 6 months pregnant with Gregory's child, she threatened to leave him for good once she got home. But Tanya never got the chance because as soon as she got home, Gregory stabbed her with a steak knife 10 times, killing her and their unborn child. Gregory was given a 15 to 25 year sentence in prison, and during his time there, he was denied parole 4 times. However, during his time in prison, he gained lots of support from friends and family and grew really close to a pastor named Fred Harris, who helped him find God, and he was his biggest supporter of getting him out. In 2008, Gregory was released on parole after serving 16 years in prison, and after just 2 years on parole, he was a completely free man. Shortly after that, he married his second wife, Faith Harris Green, who was the daughter of the pastor he was working with in prison. They were married for 6 years, and Faith had a 19 and 17-year-old child from a previous previous marriage, and Gregory and Faith had a 5- and 6-year-old child. Over the course of their marriage, Gregory started to show the same signs of abusiveness as he showed before, and Faith also tried to file a restraining order but was denied. Things got really ugly in 2016 when Gregory poisoned his 2 young children that were sleeping upstairs, took Faith to the basement, tied her to a chair, and beat her. He then brought down his stepchildren and shot them in front of her. Faith survived the encounter, and Gregory was sentenced to prison yet again and won't be eligible for parole until he's 97 years old.
You really fell back in the same pattern again.
This is a true horrifying story. Part 66. This story happened in the early 2000s. It was late at night. A woman was driving in an unfamiliar area. Her car was old and unreliable, and soon she realized that she had to make a stop for gas. Luckily, she came across a gas station in a few minutes. The gas station was very old-fashioned, in the middle of nowhere. But something about this gas station seems very off. Afraid that she might not find another gas station close by, she reluctantly pulled up and she asked an attendant to fill up the tank. The attendant seemed really nervous as he was filling up the tank, but he finished his job. He then moved towards her car window for payment. She hands him the money. He carefully examined it and told her that the bill was a counterfeit or a fake. The attendant explained that he would have to take her back inside in order to call his manager about the counterfeit bill, as it had to be reported to the bank. She got convinced. She goes inside and sits down. The attendant walks towards the station gates and locks the doors. He turns around and tells her the bill is not a counterfeit. At this point, she froze, thinking she's about to get abused. He tells her this: I had to get you out of the car because there was a man with a hatchet hiding in the back seat. This kind of crime is very common in the West. It is terrifying to realize that you were driving down the highway for a whole hour with another person hiding in your car, waiting for the right moment.
Saved it. You never know, man, what weirdos you're gonna freaking encounter. So he was in the car just waiting, plotting.
Creepy things kids have said, part 3. When I told my 3-year-old I was pregnant and had a baby in my belly, she kept saying no, 2 babies. A couple weeks later, it was confirmed I was having twins. Twins were thought to be boy and girl, but 3-year-old kept telling me they were sisters. So jokingly we asked her when they would be born. She pointed to November 28th on the calendar. Sure enough, they were born on November 28th, 2012. 5-year-old, can I marry you? Me.
No, sorry sweetie, I have a boyfriend.
5-year-old, what if he died? My daughter, from a severe brain injury when she was 11 weeks old, was in a coma for 3 days. For years afterwards, when it rained, she would comment, "Smells like God."
The true story of The Conjuring is creepier than the movie. In January 1971, Carolyn, Roger, and their 5 daughters moved into a 14-room farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. When the home seller passed the key to the family, he advised them, "Leave the lights on." They had no idea why, but soon they found out. Some nights when the children slept, would a spirit tuck them in and even kiss their foreheads. The evil force only got worse with time. Almost every night would Cindy, the second youngest daughter, hear spirits tell her that there were 7 soldiers buried in the walls. The family looked into the old house history and discovered that the property had been in the same family for 8 generations, and many of them had died under unexplained or horrifying circumstances. Furthermore, a woman named Bathsheba Sherman lived on the Perrins property in the mid-1800s. She was rumored to have been a Satanist, and it was believed that it was Bathsheba's spirit that was tormenting them, and that is why...
For 8 generations? Some weird crap was going on?
Most of you guys don't even know who Jared is.
In the early 2000s, this guy was the spokesman and face of the company Subway. The company originally caught wind of Jared when he lost over 200 pounds claiming to eat nothing but Subway sandwiches in less than 1 year. He was literally the face of their brand. Subway was paying him over $1 million a year, and they based their brand identity on Jared. They featured him in hundreds of commercials holding his famous oversized pants. He was even made fun of in a South Park episode. After so many years of being the face of Subway, Jared went on to start his own foundation in order to fight childhood obesity. Looking back at these photos is quite shocking and disturbing, considering what Jared was hiding this entire time. Both Jared and the foundation's director, Russell Taylor, had been involved in the creation and distribution of CP. Russell Taylor was busted in 2015 when a friend of his alerted the authorities that he had offered her pictures of this CP. When police raided his home, they found terabytes of this stuff. Taylor told police that all this footage was not for him, it was for his boss, Jared Fogle. The way this all started was that Taylor had security cameras in the offices of the foundation. He accidentally caught their underage intern having sex with her boyfriend in the office. Instead of reprimanding the young woman, Jared wanted to see the tape in full, and he forced Taylor to place more cameras throughout the building. Eventually started using the foundation to get closer to kids and even into their bedrooms, and started placing hidden cameras inside children's bedrooms across the city. They had accumulated terabytes of exposed children, amongst the more disturbing footage and imagery they got from the dark web. At this point in their relationship, Jared was paying for every single one of Taylor's expenses. Bought him a car, house, and paid for all of his family's medical expenses. According to court documents, Jared would say things like, "Daddy needs his pictures," and "Daddy's buying your things." Jared was sentenced to 15 years in prison for the possession and distribution of CP. Russell Taylor was sentenced to 27 years for sexual molestation and installing the security cameras. He pled guilty to 30 CP and sexual exploitation crimes. A year later, this piece of shit tried to appeal his case, claiming that the judge was biased because the judge had children. Let's hope he rots in jail. And that's the story of Subway's Jared. By the way, this is a fake pic.
Believe that these tombs belong to the Jinn. They have buried their dead in the fence of these stones, and when night falls, the Jinn will appear on the graves of their lost ones and mourn them. They say that whoever goes to this graveyard at night will be cursed by the Jinn and will surely die with a severe punishment after a few days. Why is this cemetery known as the Cemetery of Jinn at all? The main reason is the tombstones of this cemetery. The tombstones planted in this cemetery are in such a way that they bear no resemblance to the tombstones of a human being. Although many of these stones were destroyed over the years, there are still traces of these tombstones, and there are so many that we can guess that this used to be a cemetery. The strangest tombstone of the Scary Fairy Cemetery, the strange part of this cemetery goes back to one of the tombs that is very long and wide. There is a...
Those tombstones. I just say no, they said it was a cemetery, but that was a circular shape, so that really has me raising some questions, man. We've seen a couple of clips, man, talking about jinns, but this one was really breaking it down for us. What do you guys think, Seekers? Should we go down that rabbit hole even more?
Ahriman created the desert spirit demons known as Da'avas to serve as direct opposites to the celestial angels known as the Holy Immortals or Amishaspentus. For example, the demon Druj, who represents falsehood, was created to be the polar opposite of Ashurvanishta, the archangel of truth and righteousness. Several of the Da'avas were once sacred Hindu deities who were brought to Persia and transformed into evil spirits. In fact, the term Da'ava or Deva originated in India as a name that meant shining ones, and it was applied to both gods and demigods. The Da'avas are not necessarily eternal, but they have been around for a long time, spreading disease and misery all over the world. They are also keen on leading mankind astray by encouraging people to worship them, rather than pray to a creator god. The Da'avas are supposed to be kept at bay by living a clean and decent life, and enjoying the blessings of creation. Unfortunately, even the most upright people are vulnerable to Da'ava possession for approximately 9 days after death. Evil people, on the other hand, can be possessed while still alive, and there are several purifying ceremonies and specific prayers that can be used to drive the vile Da'avas away.
I guess stay away from the Da'avas. They can take you over. The afterlife. There's definitely someone who's grunting, bro. Is it a graveyard too? Whoa. Buried alive or something? Coming from hell. Okay, what the hell is that? You hear an echo in the voice now. That little hole, is that the opening he's hearing it from? Is he like digging? You see the dirt on his hand, he was definitely digging something. What do you guys think, man? Was that an edit or was that legit?
You guys want to know why I'm low-key afraid of Dua Lipa now? So there's actually this Iranian folktale that my dad told me about when she first popped off. It's about this long-legged man named Dua Lipa, which basically translates to long-legged person. So the story goes that Dua Lipa wanted to cross this large river, and so he asks this water troll to help him across. So after some persuading, the troll reluctantly agrees to help Dua Lipa cross the river, and he asks him to hop on his back. But as they're crossing the river, the water depth increases, and the troll asks Dua Lipa to loosen up his legs so that he can catch his breath. But Dua Lipa refuses, and they both end up drowning. And apparently, the moral of the story is to not let someone you don't know control your life. I don't know if the Dua Lipa we know and love knows this story, but I think about it every time I hear one of her songs or I see her perform. And as amazing as she is, the Persian fable got me.
Who is Rostam?
Hey man, what she was saying, her name Dua Lipa was based off that story. And she's a freaking, like, you know, she's a star. And I guess they said the moral of the story was to, like, don't let somebody you know control your life. And that's kind of the main point of freaking stars, man. Where like, that's all you think about when you listen to the music and things of that nature. So there was definitely some similarities between those two stories, man. These freaking pop stars and movie stars and actors, bro. Now we got folklore based off their names now. What's next?
Rostam is a legendary Persian hero known for his great size and strength. He wore a panther skin, wielded a club, and is known for his 7 labors, prompting many to compare him to the Greek hero Hercules.
Okay.
Jinn.
Somebody like Hercules?
Jinns have no physical body of their own, and are creatures from an unseen dimension realm. Jinns can be both benevolent or malevolent. Jinns have the ability to predict the future, can read people's thoughts, have extraordinary strength.
I told you, bro. We keep learning about jinns. We keep seeing jinns throughout these clips. We're gonna have to do a deep dive into them one day, man. So they can be either good or bad now. Some new information we picked up. Well, you know, man, tap in with us.
A serial killer in 3, 2, 1. He has killed another girl, a 15-year-old girl. I don't mean to be rude, but his face looks like a piece of shit. His disgusting face is printed on the second page of all school textbooks. Doesn't this sound like a cult? Why should a 7-year-old kid see the face of a murderer every single day at school? Students have been drawing on his disgusting face for years now, because we hate him. Another good and accurate drawing. Students have been tearing up his photos like this. This girl was among the many who did that. But the Islamic Republic security forces raided the school and checked to see if they still have that murderer's photo in their books. And she didn't. So they beat her up so bad that she passed away.
What? All because they didn't have him in the book?
Did you know that Black Friday actually means
Crazy.
something very different in Iran? Bringing up those words evokes memories of the Black Friday massacre, which occurred on September 8th, 1978. The Black Friday massacre resulted in the deaths of reportedly up to 3,000 people. And it was a pivotal point in the Iranian Revolution. Basically, this is a very complex subject to talk about, but at the time, people in Iran were fed up with the governing body, the Pahlavi dynasty, and they wanted the governing body of Iran to be replaced by an Islamic republic. That summer, protests had been erupting all over Iran. People were really fed up with what had been happening. There were all these weird events that were occurring, like a movie theater fire that killed over 400 people that people thought was linked to the Iranian government. And on that day, September 8th, 1978, thousands gathered in a public square in Tehran, Iran, to protest the government. But what they didn't know was that the government had enacted martial law just days before. So at some point during this massive protest, government officials started opening fire and massacring people by the dozens. Now, while some people claim that only 90 or so people died during this event, various other news sources, chronicles, people that were there claim that over 3,000 people were slaughtered on that day. And although this was an extremely tragic event that is still remembered in Iran to this day, this led to the overthrow of the government. So even though the Iranian government at the time that day tried to squash the rebellion by opening fire on these protesters, that totally turned around against them, and once again it led to the fall of the government.
Hey man, and what the freaking Black Friday was associated with that tragedy, man. And, over here Black Friday means, people they be going crazy and they be shopping, and how it, how sometimes it ends up really bad, man. I wonder, is that what the name originated from?
In 1979, 66 American hostages were taken in Iran. 14 would be released, but 52 would be stuck in Iran for 444 days. The hostages were released on the day that Ronald Reagan replaced Jimmy Carter as the U.S. president. Were they released because Ronald Reagan was a serious guy, or because Jimmy Carter negotiated the right way? 172 days after people were taken in Iran, Jimmy Carter ordered a military mission to rescue the hostages. The mission failed, though, because 3 U.S. helicopters failed, and another crashed into a plane. Jimmy Carter continued to negotiate with the leader of Iran, but he would not let hostages go. Finally, 443 days after the U.S. hostages were taken, the United States agreed to give Iran a whole lot of money and clear its criminal record in exchange for all 52 of the captured Americans. That's pretty quirky, but some people don't believe that story. Why? I'll answer that in part 2.
We've seen it happen before, actually, this year, about
There is a
prison
silent
transfers.
and mysterious cemetery in the southeastern part of Iran in the village of Tis, an ancient village at least 2,300 years old. In the beliefs of the Baloch people, the Jinns are associated with mystery and the deep silence of this cemetery and historical monuments. The cemetery of Jinn, what the Baloch call Jitsin, is one of these secrets. Locals believe that these tombs belong to the Jinn. They have buried their dead in the fence of these stones, and when night falls, the Jinn will appear on the graves of their lost ones and mourn them. They say that whoever goes to this graveyard at night will be cursed by the Jinn and will shortly die with a severe punishment after a few days. Why is this cemetery known as the Cemetery of Jinn at all? The main reason is the tombstones of this cemetery. The tombstones planted in this cemetery are in such a way that they bear no resemblance to the tombstones of a human being. Although many of these stones were destroyed over the years, there are still traces of these tombstones, and there are so many that we can guess that this used to be a cemetery. The strange part of this cemetery goes back to one of the tubes that is very long and wide.
We've seen that in the first clip, man, but it was bringing it down even more.
The sky is telling us something.
What the hell? It's split. That's a weird ass phenomenon, Seekers. The sky was really, the clouds was really like split. What the hell, man? Hey, these clips, bro, breaking my mind sometimes. Whew.
Iranian salt mummies. In the Cherabat salt mine in Iran, several ancient mummies have been uncovered, and they're honestly among the most horrifying mummies in the world, not only because of their appearance, but also because of their tragic backstories. In 1993, the first salt mummy was discovered by workers in the local salt mine. The mummy had a long white beard, iron knives, and a single gold earring. Experts believe the mummy dates to 300 AD. Several years later, in 2004, another mummy was discovered, and it was followed by the discovery of another mummy a year later. The sixth salt mummy was discovered recently, and the preservation of the mummy's body is astounding. His hair, bones, and internal organs remained intact. This is thanks to the high salinity of the cave. In fact, one of the salt men was so incredibly well preserved that his boots even remained intact. So much so that scientists could still see his toes through radiographic imaging. Upon examining the boots, they discovered the toes of the man curled tightly towards the tip, suggesting he was wearing uncomfortable footwear while working. Scientists believe that the salt men discovered in the caves were obtaining salt when they became trapped in the cavern. After all, many of the mummies discovered showed signs of trauma, indicating that the salt men were crushed inside the cave. It's highly likely that all of them were miners who met their untimely deaths while working inside the mines. Number 8. The Cannibals of the Goff's Cave. In 2011, a macabre collection was discovered at Goff's Cave in Cheddar Gorge, southwest England. Archaeologists stumbled upon a cave that was most likely inhabited by cannibals around 14,000 years ago, after the last ice age. Several bones were discovered in the area, many showing signs of butchery. It was clear that the victims were butchered by fellow humans in order to be eaten. When they were dead, their bones were cleaned and carved into cups. Quite gruesome, huh? Number 7.
Whoa.
Crystal Sepulchre Cave. In a cave in the Taper Mountain Nature Reserve are several skeletons. Many of them are lying with their limbs spread, befitting their tragic fates. The skeletons belong to people who were sacrificed by the Maya in order to appease their gods more than 1,000 years ago. The youngest of the skeletons belonged to a 1-year-old child, and the oldest was around 45 years old. Almost all of the victims inside the cave died of blunt force trauma, indicating that many of them didn't lead happy lives. Number 6. Lost Girl. Imagine you're exploring a cave, and you suddenly hear what you think is the sound of a young girl crying. You try to find the source of the sound, and after looking around, you do see a young girl crying all alone in the middle of the cave. That's precisely what happened when an explorer named Josh ventured into the Ape Cave in Mount St. Helens in the United States. They were far inside the cave when they began hearing the sound of a child crying. One decided to take a step back and turn around, but curiosity got the best of them. Luckily, they decided to walk deeper inside. As they walked further into the cave, and as the entrance became narrower, the crying noise became louder. They found a young girl in the middle of the cave who didn't speak English. Fortunately, they coaxed the girl into following them outside the cave, where her parents frantically looked for her. Number 5.
Yeah, heroes.
Moaning Cavern. The Moaning Cavern in Vallecito, California is arguably one of the scariest caves in the world. Not because of its daunting terrain, but because of the ghosts that allegedly haunt the area. The Moaning Cavern is popular for various activities in the area, from ziplining and gem digging to spelunking. What's more, the caverns are also famous because of the many artifacts discovered in the area. In the 1840s, gold miners discovered the Moaning Caverns, and inside, they stumbled upon arrowheads and other artifacts, including a necklace that's about 8,000 years old. Human bones were also discovered in the area. Now you're probably wondering how the cave obtained its name in the first place. You see, when the first visitors of the cave stepped foot in the area, they kept hearing wailing and moaning sounds, although we now know the unnerving sounds were caused by the wind. Number 4. The Haunted Mammoth Cave. Mammoth Cave is the most extensively known cave system in the world. Many people from all around the world visit Mammoth Cave National Park. However, aside from its natural beauty, it's also well known for paranormal activity. There are more than 150 documented paranormal events around the cave. Not only are the numbers significant, but the witnesses are also credible people, even researchers and scientists. Certainly, scientists have no reason to lie about seeing a ghost, right? For this reason, the Mammoth Cave is also known as the most haunted natural wonder in the world. In 1839, the cave was purchased by Dr. John Croghan for $10,000. For that price, the cave also came with several enslaved people, including a cave guide named Stephen Bishop. Many were delighted by the tours offered by Stephen, but Croghan had a different plan. For some strange reason, he wanted to convert the cave into a hospital. The doctor built 11 huts inside the cavern, and initially 15 patients were transferred to the cavern. It was the beginning of a disaster. Shortly after, the condition of the patients worsened, and Dr. Grogan himself died of tuberculosis. Many of the slave guides died years later. People believe that to this day, they still return to the cave as spirits to see how things are. One of the new guides claimed to have seen a family of African Americans in a group he was guiding once. However, after finishing the tour, the family mysteriously disappeared. There was also no record of the family taking the cave tour. If you want to get spooked, there are countless stories on the internet about the Mammoth Cave.
All those freaky caves. The one at the end, man, he tried to build a hospital and put it in a cave. That was not a great idea. At all, Seekers, I'm sorry. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you guys are seeking the truth, man. Truly, I really appreciate the support. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload a video. Hit that like button, man. Like I said, I saw a comment yesterday that really just said, don't give up. Trust me, I won't, man. We're going to post every single day, man. Like I said, the schedule might switch up over these past couple of days, but you guys just know, man. If you guys hit that subscribe button, man, thank you guys for joining me on my journey. We're going to take off and explode in this algorithm, man. I truly believe that. You guys going to catch in the next one, man. Tell me, guys, down below what you guys think of this video. Did you guys see anything that freaked you out, spooked you out? Put it down below. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.